Okay, what's up, people? Welcome back to another stream. Hope everyone is well. As always, guys, if you're enjoying the content, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course, make sure you do go and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any streams or uploads in the future. If you haven't done already, make sure you do check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel, completely free to join. You can find the link to that in the description below and also at the top of the chat. You can chat with other traders, chat with myself. I share ideas there. You can do as well. Join the community, and of course, you can find a lot more information about Elevating Traders there as well. So if you're interested, make sure you head over, check it out. As I said, link in the description and also the top of the chat, completely free to join. But guys, hope everyone is doing well and good this Thursday morning. As always, guys, we'll go for the USD pairs first, take a look at the DXY, go for USD side of things, take a look at gold and silver. Of course, I will get through requests, any markets you're looking to trade or you just want my opinion on, feel free to drop it down in the chat. And of course, any particular time frames you're looking at, let us know. Tashi, what's up? Good morning. Hope you're well. Izolo, good morning. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're doing good. I'm well. Thank you. Thank you. Ahmed, what is up? Good morning. Yusuf, good morning. Hope you're well. Himanshu, what's up? US 30, we'll take a look at as well. We'll go through some indices. What is up? CS Integrated. Hope everyone is well. So first things first, we'll take a look at the DXY. So of course, we had some news yesterday. We had some CPI. I was about to say NFP. It wasn't Friday yesterday. We had CPI yesterday, and that caused a lot of movement in the market. We saw wicks, the upside, downside. Price was a little bit confused as to which way it wanted to go. My overall bias for the dollar has been pretty much bullish for quite a while. Again, I'm looking at the overall trend of the market. That's what gives me the overall bias, but doesn't necessarily mean what price is going to do in the next 24 hours. That could very much differ from that. And the overall trend is still to the upside. This is still the last major high or low in the market. So technically speaking, price has to break through that before I really change my bias to being bearish. However, since we had this really strong drop to the downside last week, I have been pretty bearish on the dollar, at least for a pushback down into this low here. We'll see what happens from that point onwards. This could just be a larger correction, as I was explaining yesterday. Really big drive to the upside. This might just be a bigger complex correction for price to continue to the upside. So I'm pretty much bearish on the dollar until we get to this low here. And then I'll see what the next play is, judging on how price reacts, how aggressive we are. Do we correctively roll over? Do we drop really hard to the downside? All those factors I'll take into consideration when judging my next move for the DXY. But at the moment, I'm still treating this as a correction of this bearish move here. We had a strong impulse to the upside, created a lower high, which is pretty significant. Didn't create a higher high past that point over there. Really strong drop to the downside last week, and it has been a slow kind of grind to the upside, which does indicate to me that this move is typically going to be a pullback for price to see lower prices. And that looks like what we're kind of getting at the moment. CPI was back and forth, but looks like price has picked its direction now with that 4-hour candle there, strong close to the downside, and momentum is slowly picking up to the downside, but it is still a corrective fall. So if you stay corrective, I probably would expect to see a bounce at this area. We might break through slightly, but there probably will be a bounce. If we kind of bleed and pick up momentum from somewhere, then we can reinvestigate that. But I'm still looking for a move back down to the 107 mark. Then we'll go from there for the dollar. So still kind of bearish for the next day or two, but we'll see how long that takes. So pretty much looking at the same for euro, although it hasn't been clear. I've said I haven't been a big fan of euro USD, and I still am not a big fan of euro USD, to be honest. Just a very choppy pair in general. Again, in terms of the overall market structure, it's still bearish because we're still doing the exact same. We're still, seeing the exact same structure as we're seeing with the dollar, just flipped pretty much. So we're still seeing lower lows and lower highs. And this could just be a pullback for price to see lower prices. So again, that's why I'm overall bearish for euro still. However, things have been slightly changing. We've seen some signs of price struggling to continue being bearish. Had a really big gap to the downside past couple of weeks. Failed to create a lower low past this point. We shot back up again. So as I'm expecting that move to the downside for the dollar, I'm kind of expecting a move to the upside for euro, of course, as they're inversely correlated. So I'm looking for euro USD to come at least back into this high, which we've kind of done that now. And if we can break through that, possibly back into this high there. I said on the weekly analysis that if we do get some nice buys for euro, it's probably because price has broken through this and we can look for some corrections on the lower time frames to trade it back to that high there at 1.052, which looks like price is slowly getting which is what price is slowly getting at. We've got a level here which we haven't broke through yet. We could potentially still sell off from that, but of course I'm pretty bearish, at least in the next kind of few hours, at least for the dollar. So I do expect us to break through this, and there could be some really nice corrections, pullbacks, possibly the retest of that level for some buys back into that level. So that's the only kind of setup I really see for euro. Other than that, I'm staying away from the pair. It's just very, very corrective, to be honest. No kind of clear-cut trend, which is where I find my better trades, when there's a kind of clear-cut trend, clear-cut higher highs or lower highs or whatever direction the market is moving in. Right now, euro is just a little bit choppy, but something like that intraday could develop in the next day or two. So keep an eye on that. In terms of pound USD, I'm still currently long on this one. It was a very kind of messy fluctuation. Of course, we had the CPI yesterday, so I was in a bit of profit. Going to the CPI news, then we had a really aggressive drop to the downside as we saw that wick to the upside on the DXY. Still held the position. I'm not looking to close the trade early until I see some clear signs that the level I'm buying from is no longer holding, which still stayed intact. So that's why I held the position. And yeah, prices had a really strong reaction from that. It's looking pretty bullish now. So prices technically kind of hit my level, which I'm looking to close profit at, which is this zone here. But I'm looking to see if I can hold it to the wick high up there, and then I'll close all positions at that high. But should I see a big rejection from this level now, I will look to close the trade, because we pretty much hit the high. This is not a trade where I'll look to swing for a long term. This was definitely more of a shorter term play, because at the moment, if I zoom out to the daily chart, everything is still pretty bearish with pound USD. So this is more of a counter trend trade, which if I'm going to take a counter trend position, I will be more aggressive with how I manage the trade and getting out pretty quickly, because at any point the trend very much could continue. And for a matter of fact, I'm actually still looking for sells for pound USD, to be honest. So if we can see some confident rejection at the highs here, I'll actually be looking for some sell positions to see if I can take it right back down into this low. So I'm still pretty much bearish on pound USD longer term, and that's where the kind of overall trend is. So I'm looking to see what type of sell confirmation I can get there to take some positions back into that low. But for now, I'm just going to see how this position plays out and see what we can do at the highs, and of course see what dollar does at the lows at 107 as well. In terms of dollar CAD, still very bearish with dollar CAD. However, it's taken its sweet time to break through this support level. So it has been it's been a tough watch. It looked like price was breaking through, it's breaking back above. Are we retesting? Hard to say. Again, when I'm looking for my break and retest, I'm looking for a clear-cut break out of the zone before I do start looking for some pullbacks and some entries. So I need to see some momentum, similar to what we had kind of over here. Really nice bearish candle closures, breaking to the downside. If we can get something similar to that, it doesn't have to be exactly the same in terms of size, but something similar, something showing confidence in a break to the downside, that'd be brilliant. Then I'll look for pullbacks, perhaps the retest of a zone or a retest somewhere else. And then, expecting a lot more downside for dollar CAD. Again, the idea has pretty much been, we've been ranging for a while. Massive fake out to the upside, testing a weekly zone as well. I quickly just show that to you guys. Massive weekly zone here. We smashed into that. So knowing where we are, knowing that many longer term buyers who would have had positions down here would be looking to take profits up here, and any longer term sellers probably be jumping into their positions up there. So it's a big level. A lot of profit taking should be happening, hence why we could get a reaction. The bigger move may still be to the upside for dollar CAD, but I'm looking to see if I can profit on the reaction going to the downside. But first thing first, let's see if we can break support, which looks like we're teasing. So hopefully we can pick up the pace and get that done today pretty much. That would be nice. Aussie dollar, again, not really big fan of this. Still looking at this as a sideways market, but again, we are trading at some big prices. If you look to the left on the daily chart, massive swing low down here. If I swing that across, you can see where we're trading. So I am looking for a bit of a bounce there for Aussie dollar for similar reasons as I'm looking for a bounce for dollar CAD coming into a big level. Could get a reaction. Market's quite overextended to the downside. It might be time for a bit of a breather. So I'm looking for some upside there for Aussie dollar. But in terms of actually finding a buy for that, and you see price push up, give us a pullback, and then continue. So I need to see price break the highs, show me that we're now bullish again, buyers are back in control. Then I'm looking for a higher low, perhaps on the retest of this consolidation. Might be some nice entries there, but I can only judge that closer to when the trade does set up. For now, just speculating, but I'm waiting for a buy opportunity. Nothing at the moment. Same situation with New Zealand dollar. Very, very choppy as well. Again, looking at this as a consolidation. But again, same as Aussie dollar, we're trading at a massive low on the higher time frames. Mark that swing low on, take that across. You can see where we're trading. So the chances of us seeing a bit of a move to the upside are pretty high. Of course, not guaranteed, but pretty high. So if we can get that push to the upside to show me, okay, again, buyers are back in control, looking for some pullbacks, onwards and upwards, that is what I'll be looking for New Zealand dollar, breaking me test somewhere and take some longs. So that's very much the plan for those two currency pairs, pretty much doing the exact same thing, but still within the range. So not really interested until we get that breakout. Same with dollar CAD really as well. Gold looking really bullish. It was actually a nice buy setup for gold. I was contemplating looking to take the trade, but because I was already in pound USD and we just had CPI, I was like, okay, let me not get ahead of myself and jump into two similar positions. Both kind of favoring USD weakness. So I didn't take the position, but it's looking like it's playing out very, very well. It was a trade on the hourly chart. Nice piercing wick to the downside. This was just after CPI. I was talking about if price can hold this support yesterday, this would be a great place for a buy. Of course, you've got prior resistance, now turning support. Very, very simple textbook stuff. But the reason behind this is that there's such a confident trend in the market. There's a good chance that the support does hold. And of course, gold just being very, very bullish at the moment. If price is going to respect structure, there's a good chance price is just going to continue the trend back to highs, which is here at 29.30, 29.40, which were about 2/3 of the way there. So looking very, very bullish right now for gold. Expect more upside. I think if you're looking to jump into any positions, might want to drop right down to like the 15-minute chart for some entries. There might be another pullback this afternoon. That can end up being a nice little trade there to take this to the upside. But I'm looking at gold pushing back to 29.40 now. And in terms of silver, silver just didn't pull back enough for me, or at least hasn't done yet. I'm still looking for some entries for silver. I like the pullback into this area. Nice trend line confluence with the resistance here. Will we turn support? The reason why I like this area, because again, we had that aggressive reaction Friday. I don't really like buying into that. And number two, we still do have the resistance there on the left, which is being a bit awkward right now. Price is either going to respect that area and come back down or break through, and we're going to continue. And in terms of buys, I either want to be buying on top of this level or buying away from this level where I can at least take some profits off there and maybe hold some to run if it does continue. So I'm looking for that bigger pullback on silver still. It may or may not happen. We'll wait and see. Otherwise, let's see if price will just break the highs and then we'll look for opportunities afterwards. Either which way, I'm not too bothered because I'm looking for silver to get all the way back to the highs here at 34.8. So we've got a long way to go before targets. And yeah, just looking for some buy opportunities there. So yeah, that's kind of really where I'm at with USD. Still pretty bearish shorter term. So we'll see how that goes. But gold, silver, still very bullish. Looking for a lot more upside on those guys. Anyway, where were we? A bunch of messages. Hope everyone is well. Season great. Thanks for closed my long yesterday and off the CPI and now small long at 107. Okay, nice. Okay. TP trading tight, stop loss at DXY moves up, long term bullish, short term bearish. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty much in the same page as you then. Yeah, long term dollar hasn't really done anything to change my bias. Price is still showing. I'll go for US30 in a second, by the way, Himanshu. Excuse me. Long term price hasn't really done anything to show me otherwise that we're about to change direction. And of course, the first thing about trading, if you're a technical trader, um, and you rely on technicals for direction, you want to be able to pivot very quickly, because price can change direction very quickly, and you don't want to be stubborn to a bias. So the moment I do see some conviction to the downside and price breaking underneath this level here on the weekly chart is probably the moment I do start shifting my bias overall to being bearish for the dollar. But at the moment, there's still confident uptrend. At the moment, this is still pretty secure support level and could still very much send us to the upside at any point. So long term, the bias is still bullish. However, short term, I can't ignore the price action and the drop we had last week. So I do think there might still be a bit more downside left on the table there. So that's kind of where I'm at with the dollar. We'll go for US 30 though. Himanshu, you said, are you buying, or you just, is it a good place to short US 30? Depends what you're looking for. Quite frankly, I'm not really a big fan of the location. To me, this is just pretty much a ranging market right now. So I wouldn't be looking to buy or sell at these prices, but that's me on the 4-hour chart. On the hourly chart, or even lower, it's not a bad place for a sell, to be honest, coming back into this area, just above where we got that high. Actually, it's actually not a bad trade, because there probably would be some nice liquidity just above the highs here. So should price push into that, that could be a really nice sell. Kind of just what price did over here on the left. Coming back into that consolidation, nice sell yesterday. I think that was just before CPI. Big push to the downside. Might see a repeat of that. So we are still putting in lower highs. 1, 2, 3. Could see number 4, and so on and so forth. So in terms of a shorter term trade, I think it's actually not a bad place for a sell. But I wouldn't look to try and take the trade past this low here. The goal of the trade just be short the high, take profits at the low. Because as I just mentioned on the consolidation, on the 4-hour chart, you're trading in the middle of nowhere. Maybe we do get to support. Maybe price decides to turn around. This is still a very bullish market, US 30, despite the kind of weird price action we're having over the past few days. So shorts on the lower time frames, I think actually look like a nice trade, but I'd keep it intraday. No looking for anything greater. Of course, you can leave positions to run and manage the trade however you want to. But my advice would be kind of keep it short and sweet, just because it's just a very messy chart in general. But yeah, not a bad area to short from. And if price does actually break through, let me go to the hourly chart. If price does actually break through the high here, then that's a bullish signal, and I would just leave that chart alone. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with US 30. Yusuf, computer to draw some more resistance zone. I use the wicks to draw mine, but yesterday your zone goal was more accurate than mine. It's reversed on yours, but mine broke. They're reversed. Yeah, again, I think that's to do a bit more for just like experience, because support and resistance, there's no kind of incorrect or correct way to draw it. Other people draw it differently to me, and will still have good results as well. It's just your experience and kind of how you see the market. But the way I look at support and resistance is I look at prior wicks to bodies, mark that as a zone, and that's pretty much it, to be honest. But the area in which I want to draw my resistance from, I at least want to see price test it a couple times, unless I'm just marking on a swing high or a swing low. In this case, we did test it twice there, so that was nice. But I basically just drew it from the wick to the body there and marked it as a zone with the rectangle tool up there. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But some people like to focus on the body. Some people like to focus on the wicks. Me, I like marking as a zone because potentially any area between the wick and the body is a suitable area for price to reverse from. So that's pretty much it. And I draw on the 4-hour time frame as well. That's where I spend most of my time trading. Of course, if you drop to the hourly chart, you might draw it like this. So it becomes a little bit more kind of intricate, which is nothing wrong about drawing on the hourly chart, but you have to understand that the 4-hour chart will give you more room to play with. Hourly chart will give you a bit less room because you're more zoomed in. So you might take a couple of extra losses, but then you might get a really nice refined entry and a big risk to reward because of the because you're using the low time frame. So there's pros and cons to both sides of the coin. But yeah, if I was looking at the hourly chart, I would draw it like this and still the same situation, although you probably would have been faked out with that big wick from CPI. But again, you could have re-entered and you would be in profit right now. So um, on the hourly chart, you probably would have taken a loss, but potentially taken a win with the next trade. 4 hour chart, you might just wait for that wick to close and then enter the next candle, but your risk reward would be greatly reduced as well. So again, pros and cons to both sides of the coin, but in terms of the way I draw it, it's from wick to body pretty much. Okay, where was I? CPI can mess things up. Yep. Pound CHF trade back in the entry with CHF this morning. Highest point before the drop, so book profits. Okay. Yeah, CPI was a bit all over the place. What's up? Follow the trend. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Yes, we did. We did speak about JPY sales a few days ago. I've now changed my bias after getting burnt. Okay, fair enough. Still in gold. Okay, nice early one. I suppose your targets are back at the high. 29.40 is the high. Follow the trend. What's up? Bullish on pound, but any sells on pound CADs around 1%. I'll go take a look at pound CAD. I'm not really so keen on pound CAD, to be honest. It's a bit of a range on the higher time frame, so not really fitting the criteria for me. But I will take a look at pound CAD for you. Emmanuel, what's up? Hope you're well. Aussie yen, yes, we'll take a look. I was bearish, but recently the resistance was broken. Yeah, we've seen some pretty impressive bullish moves for the yen pairs. So they're kind of on tight ropes for me in terms of my overall bias. My overall bias is still bearish, but judging the reaction, because they have been pretty impulsive, we're seeing some signs that potentially that might not be a pullback. It might be price having a greater move. So I will comment on a bunch of yen pairs in a second, but I'm still bearish on them for now. Yes, we just had a look at US 30. If you go back like five minutes, you see the analysis to that. Okay, so I'll go through. I'll go take a look at pound CHF, and I'll take a look at pound CAD, and we'll go through Aussie yen next. So pound CHF for this one, again, I'm not really looking to trade this. I mean, I'm ready in a CHF pair at the moment for Aussie CHF, but again, I'm actually still pretty bearish for pound CHF. Again, long term at the moment, the way I see the market is that we're still consolidating. We had a really big move to the upside today, actually, but looks like we came crashing straight back down. I'm waiting for price to break out, to be honest. And again, the direction I'm looking for price to push in is back to the lows, because all I'm looking at is the continuation of this bearish move. Of course, whether we'll see that, I have no idea. And it's still a long way away from that happening. The opportunity that looks the best to me would be if price can break to the downside and we get some pullbacks and shorter to the low, because at least at that point, I've got the break to the downside. So at least the bears are back in control. And the likelihood of us coming back to the low is then far greater. So that's the move I'm interested in. In terms of pound CHF right now, we're testing some resistance, which we've been struggling to break through a lot. And yeah, price has been pretty bullish, but then we shot down pretty aggressively. It looks like price is still respecting the highs there on the left. But it's a very messy pair, pound CHF. Especially when we get to this kind of choppy times, we can just fluctuate quite a lot. It's always tricky if you're looking to enter near the lows or highs of the market, because you will get that fluctuation. But I'm still pretty bearish on this one longer term, so I'm going to wait to see if we do get that drop. But we'll have to wait and see. As I said, I'm already trading as a CHF, so I'm not as interested in this pair just yet. But we'll see how that does develop. In terms of pound CAD, like I said, I'm not really so interested in this pair at the moment either. The way I see it is the market is pretty much just flat. Equal highs there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and equal lows there a couple times too. So yes, we've got a lovely bullish trend at play, and it might still be looking to continue potentially. But it's incredibly flat right now. We've respected the high 4 times, which again is not really the sign of a healthy trending market anymore. So if this trend is going to continue, I need to wait to see price break the highs first, and that will reinstate my confidence in the trend. And then I'll be looking for continuations if it looks good. And likewise to the downside, if this is going to be the high that price does form, and you see price actually break the lows first, and then I'll expect more downside. Otherwise, we could very much hit the low and just go right back up again. So if you're looking for a bit of range play, this might not be such a bad pair to look at. Highs around 1.809 and lows around 1.75. Follow the trend. You said you're looking to sell pound CAD around 1.788. Whereabouts is that? 1.788 is okay. We're approaching that level now with very strong support and resistance area. On which time frame you're looking at? Follow the trend. Let me just mark it with the horizontal ray. 0, 0. Okay, that's approximately around there. Not dead on 1.788, but more or less around that area. You're looking at the 4-hour chart because I can see some resistance support in that area there as well. So I can see some rejection, but I'm not the big fan because it's in the middle of the range. It doesn't really matter how strong the level is. If it's in the middle of a range, it just limits the probability of the trade playing out, at least in my experience anyway. If I'm going to look to trade a range, it's because price is right at the high of the range or right at the low. This right now is priced right in the middle. So this is where you can get the most fluctuation. Again, not to say that the trade idea won't work out. It's just that on average, this is where you can get the most fluctuation. So it's just a bit more difficult for your trades to play out here. At least without hitting your stop loss as well. It might hit your stop loss and then play out. Of course, you can always re-enter. But it's just where you're going to have the most fluctuation. So not really interested with the price action in here. Like I said, the way I see it, just a ranging market. And when I do box off a range, I tend to kind of turn off in terms of concentration, in terms of what price is doing in the middle, because I just mark that to just general ranges. But if I'm looking to trade pound CAD, like I said, see either price is going to be breaking the lows or breaking the highs, and then I'll look for some opportunities inside the middle. Not the biggest fan. Not the biggest fan. Like I said, doesn't mean the trade won't work out. It's just I'm not the biggest fan of inside of these levels here. Okay, yeah, go back to the 1 hour high. Okay, nice. It's looking likely though, Holy One. Looks like we'll probably be there pretty soon. No problem, Yusuf. Happy to help. I will go through Aussie Yen next, Emmanuel. Kadam, what's up? Hope you're doing good. Took a sell New Zealand Sea Chef. Okay, nice. 8% profits, letting the remainder run for a bigger TP. Nice. Where's your bigger TP at, Kadam? How far are you looking to push the trade? Follow the trend actually 1 week for a bigger picture, but for an hour. Potentially, no problem. Happy to help. Again, I'm not trying to tell you what to do necessarily. I'm just going to give you my honest opinion and take what information you want from that. Anyway, let's go through Aussie Yen. I'll go through New Zealand CHF in a second, and then we'll go through some yen pairs. Aussie Yen, so really strong push to the downside in that last 4-hour candle. I'm not the biggest fan of Aussie Yen either. Kind of the same situation as some other markets, which are just a little bit too choppy for me. Again, in terms of the overall bias, that is still very much nailed on. I'm still, well, at least nailed on in terms of what I'm expecting, not in terms of what price will actually do. Of course, nothing is nailed on 100%. But I'm still expecting a push back down to that low. So that's still my longer term bias for Aussie Yen locked in. And until things change, I'll let you guys know. But that's still where I'm expecting price to get to. So I'd be looking for price to break out this range and then look for some trends outside of that. So some pullbacks, lower lows and lower highs on the way down. That has been the plan for Aussie Yen. However, we did get a breakout just to see price close back inside the range. If we go to the 4-hour chart. As you can see, we got a really half-hearted breakout just to see price close back inside the range. So it hasn't been very, very clear cut. So I'm kind of waiting to see if we can get back outside the range again. Things might get a bit messy at that point, but I want to see conviction to the downside, and then I'm looking for pullbacks. Because when you're looking for trend continuation, when you're looking for um, to continue a trend in the market, you want to see momentum, you want to see conviction. You don't want to be looking to try and follow and continue very corrective moves or very slow moves, because that very nature implies there's not a lot of momentum there. So the likeliness of it continuing is not that high, or at least not as high as it would be if we're seeing forceful moves. So I want to see a strong move to the downside there for Aussie yen, and then that will reinstate my confidence, and I'll be looking for some sells. And like I said, longer term targets back at the low at 90 there. So not the biggest fan of Aussie yen at the moment. Did you say you're looking to get short? I was bearish, but recently the resistance was broken. Okay. Um, which resistance level are you shorting from? Was it the retest of the low here, or were you looking at one of these levels on the left? Yeah, I mean, it is just a very choppy pair right now, but I still do have that bearish bias. I'm just going to be waiting patiently for the time. I'm still bearish, just no opportunity to short just yet. No problem with traders, share ideas, and happy to have your knowledge and experience for extra guidance. Yeah, that's the idea of the streams as well. But I really appreciate that. Follow the trend. That's the idea of the streams. I'm not looking to tell you what to do, what to buy, what to sell, because of course you've got your own head and you've got your own set of biases which you'll cultivate. Because the idea is that you want to become the trader yourself. You want to become the asset yourself. You don't want to be relying on anyone else, because what happens if they disappear? Then what? So you want to become the trader yourself. So of course you want to learn from other people, as do I. I learn from other people as well, and make your own decisions. But of course you can take tips from other people and whatever you want to use, and disregard the rest. But yeah, that's the purpose of the stream. So I'm good. I'm good. I'm happy it's helping out. And if you guys are enjoying the streams, please be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and of course hit the bell so you don't miss on any streams or uploads in the future. We'll go take a look at New Zealand CHF. So this one, CHF has had a pretty big move to the downside this morning. I'm shorting Aussie CHF at the moment. We'll go take a look at that in a second. But a really strong move to the downside this morning for the CHF pairs. I don't know, did we have CHF news? I might have just completely missed that. Let me go have go take a look at that, because there might have been. Okay, there was a CHF inflation rate. Maybe that was it. But this looks like a bigger move than that. But yeah, it might be the CHF inflation rate. But anyway, CHF has been very strong. So we've seen a pretty big move to the downside for the CHF pairs. New Zealand CHF, big move there. And I was debating between New Zealand CHF and Aussie CHF yesterday in terms of the sell. I chose Aussie CHF because of one slight confluence, which we'll go over in a second. But again, they're very similar trades, very similar ideas. We're looking for sells on both of them, and and price is looking pretty bearish right now for New Zealand CHF. The idea for this one is that the market structure is completely bearish in the higher time frames, weekly, daily, monthly chart, all pointing to the downside. So I'm looking for this trend to continue, as any trend trader would, or at least eventually continue. It's taking its sweet time. And I'm expecting these lows to be taken out. And since price has broken through some key support here on the left, the way I see it is that we're still putting in these lower highs. I'm still looking for price to keep falling. Next target is a push to that low, and then target after that would be the all-time low, actually, which is that low there. So the Zealand CHF looking like a really nice short opportunity. Came back into a solid level of resistance, like a big double top there. Really nice rejection there yesterday, and price has been falling since then. So I expect more downside for New Zealand CHF. Of course, nothing's guaranteed, but I think the probability of price getting back to these lows is pretty high. If the higher time frame trend is going to continue, you would expect us to get there. So yeah, I think booking some profit, leaving some to run is a smart move, and just letting price do its thing. The only downside about this is that you'll be paying negative swaps if you're looking for a swing trade here. And that might add up a little bit. It shouldn't be a situation where the swaps are too much that they outweigh the profits. Of course not, but yeah, they are annoying a little bit. But besides from that, really nice trade and momentum's looking good as well. So let's see if this can continue. Aussie CHF is the position I did take. Like I said, I was debating between Aussie CHF and New Zealand CHF, but the reason I took Aussie is because we faked the high there. Price closed above the high, broke through it, and then shot back down really aggressively. So I know that anyone selling who was selling earlier would have been taking out their position. And then as price comes back down, that then gives me my entry signal. So I entered on that candle, which was just before the stream yesterday. Did have a really aggressive candle going against me. So that was a big alarm bell there because we were breaking back above resistance. But I still respected my stop loss. If price is going to take me out, again, I'm not risking the farm in the trade. I'll happily take the loss. It was a good trade anyway, fit the plan well. But then, of course, this morning, price completely dumps and went a bit of profit now. So same idea as well with Aussie CHF, looking for a push back into the low. This one as well, pretty bearish as well. I'll probably say not as bearish as New Zealand CHF, but overall, we do have a pretty clear-cut downtrend here on the higher time frames. So as a swing trader, I'm just looking for the continuation of that. There is a pretty big level of support down here. So as you start to approach around 0.56, I'll start to manage the trade a little bit more closer, maybe book some profits. The whole idea of the position is to see if I can actually swing it down to this low. So I will be taking positions off and trading stops as well. I'm not going to hold full size back to that area, but I'll look to see if I can hold at least 20% back to that low. And I'll probably secure most of it at this area here, just because it could be a very long wait before we do get there. It might even take like 2, 3, 4 months potentially. You can see since this drop here in August, we haven't really gone anywhere until already February the following year. So that's like, what, 6, 7 months of price just going absolutely nowhere. I don't really want to hold a trade for that long, knowing that I'll be paying negative swaps as well. So, yeah, I'll probably take most of my profit at the low and then just see what we can do with the rest. But yeah, pretty bearish on Aussie CHF as well. Really nice momentum. Let's hope CHF can continue that strength. And we'll see how far we can take it. But yeah, looking for a bigger push to the downside. Okay, so I will go through. I'm gonna go through some yen pairs. Where was I? So in which pair it's time to trade? You're saying which pair should you trade? Isn't that the question? If we knew the answer to that all the time, we would be multi-trillionaires by now. Check out my Telegram channel. It's linked in the description as well. I do post some of the trades I take there, so you can kind of see what I'm looking at the time. But if there was a trade to take now, I would be taking the trade. So I don't really have a position that I can take right now. But of course, I'll go through some pairs and hopefully you can take some ideas from there. Sultani, what's up? Dollar yen. Okay, stand sell. Okay, I'll take a look at dollar yen as well. That's your bigger take profit. Okay, nice, Kadam. It does look good for price to get back down there. Raymond, what's up? Long Euro CHF, should I book profits? Okay, I'll have a look at that before I go to the M pairs. Okay. And then I'll take a look at dollar yen as well. So Euro CHF, you're long. Should you book profits? But depends. Depends on what the original plan was. If you're looking for price to get to the high here, then yeah, I would look to probably close that trade because the idea has kind of been met. If I got into a buy here, my target was to take it back to the swing high. It's pretty much got there. So I don't want to be in a situation where I'm going to give back all of my floating profits just because price maybe hasn't made new highs or tested the wick high there as well. So if your plan was to get it back to the high there, I say that plan is very much done. So I would call it quits on that trade. If you had a longer term swing trade, then you probably would have wanted to book profits at least at that high, just in case something like this does happen. Of course, the bigger move could still be to the upside, and we could still see a massive move there. But you just want to limit your risk, limit your downside, and book your profits as well. Pay yourself because, although you might have a longer term bias for whatever reason, maybe price just doesn't fulfill that. So you kind of want to take at least a small piece of the cake. just in case price does go against you. But yeah, price has got to the high there. It's rejected very aggressively. That should be a sign that you want to at least look to manage that trade, at least close some profits, trade a stop loss, move your stop loss to break even, however you want to manage it. But I would be a little bit proactive there because we've just come into a high and rejected it pretty aggressively, which is not a good sign as a buyer. You want price to be breaking the highs, not respecting them. So yeah, I would do something there in terms of reduce the size I have on, or even call it a day. Depends if that was my target, then yeah, I will close the trade. Anyway, let's go through some of the yen pairs. So dollar yen, we'll start there. So like I said, I'm still actually pretty bearish on the yen pairs. And I was actually debating to short CAD yen this morning, but I decided not to. And I'll go over that pair in a second. So yeah, dollar yen, I'm still pretty bearish on as well. It has had a bigger pullback than I have anticipated. I said I was looking for the retest of the lows here. Price is actually broken above that. Hasn't broken through structure yet. So the bias still stands, at least on the 4-hour chart anyway. I'm still looking for a push back into the swing low here. It's just been a bigger move than expected and a more impulsive one as well. We've had a pretty strong move down, followed by a pretty strong move back up. So if this was any higher, this would look more like a V-shaped pattern. And at that point, I'll be expecting more upside. But I wouldn't say this quite fits the mold for a V-shaped pattern. We're still respecting highs. I believe we're still respecting the trend line here as well. So yeah, I'm still pretty bearish on dollar yen. And actually, if price can come back, retest the high there, I would actually be looking for some entries myself to get involved and see if I can take dollar yen back to 151. So yeah, I'm still pretty bearish on, at least on the 4-hour chart for dollar yen. This has been a very sturdy area for the 4-hour time frame. This is, of course, where we got that big move from. Prices, of course, respected it pretty well. If I do get into a short, I would only look to take it back into the low because we could bounce and go against me there. So I wouldn't try and take it past that low. But for now, for dollar yen, I'm still pretty bearish. So you asked, is it okay to stay in sell position? Can you explain to which price will it go down? Again, I can't tell you exactly what price is going to do and where it's going to go down to. That's just not what a trade is about. We look to try and take opportunities based on patterns repeating themselves. In terms of actually telling you what price is going to do, where it's going to go, no one really knows that. At least no retail trader does anyway. So I'm not going to tell you exactly where price is going to go down and when you should hold or not, because I don't know. But what I can tell you is that I'm still bearish. I'm still looking for a push down to this low. As long as we don't take out this high here, I'm still expecting a push back down to that low. If we do take out that high for whatever reason, I will not be looking for that move anymore. But we still are. We still are respecting that high. So I do expect us to get back down there. And in fact, if price does get back to retest the high, I'll probably look to see if I can join you in a trade. So I'm expecting a push there. It really depends what you're looking for, how much you're risking on the trade. Are you looking for a small reaction just to this area and then you're going to call it a day? Are you looking for a big swing trade? What was your position size? All of this does determine whether you should hold or close the position. And if you don't really have a plan at place, if you're just taking trades just because of it, I would suggest you kind of rethink that, especially if you're on a live account with money that you don't want to lose, because probably will do eventually. And that's just, what happens with everyone who starts trading. You're going to lose the money, of course. So yeah, that's my take on dollar yen. Still pretty bearish, as long as we can hold that high at the moment. I'll go through, no problem, Raymond. Happy to help. What's up, Alex? Hope you're well. Yes, we'll take a look at gold US30 NAS. Let me just get through the yen pairs quickly. So, yeah, CAD-Yen, I did say I was actually looking to short this one. I did get an entry at the high here on this candle here. So this would have been the trade. Stops above the high. Would be in a little bit of profit as we came back into this high. And of course, kind of respected the trend line, but kind of broke through it as well. I mean, not really respected the trend line, did we? But the idea is that I'm looking for another lower high, for another push back into this area with expectation that we could go a lot further as well. The reason I didn't take the trade is because it wasn't that clean, and the fact that we had a really aggressive push to the upside. If it was a bit more corrective, I would have taken the trade. And also another reason why I didn't take the position as well is because I'm still keeping a close eye on euro yen, on dollar yen, and on pound yen for some downside, which I think are a little bit more cleaner. We've had a really nice drop here for euro yen. This looks like the pullback of that. It's been a pretty aggressive pullback, but if you can start to consolidate, maybe that could provide a really nice opportunity for a short. So I like euro yen a little bit better. I like pound yen a little bit better. So I'm waiting for them to develop before I do go and take any yen pair. So that's why I decided to not take the position, and it just wasn't as clean as I wanted it to be. So that's why I didn't take the trades. It might play out, it might not play out. I don't know, but for those reasons, I decided to not take the trade. And I'm already in 2 positions as well, which are not break even yet as well. So for that reason, I decided to stay out the way. But it actually looks like a decent opportunity, still keeping up the lower highs as well. It's not necessarily a bad trade. I just have a few other reasons why I wouldn't take the position. And I'm expecting a push back into that low. So CAD Gen, I'm still bearish on this one. No significant break of structure. The fact that we did take out the high is not a break of structure because this high didn't give us a new low. It gave us technically a higher low. This is really the high to be worried about. So CAD Gen, I still do have a bearish bias. I'm still looking for a push into the low here. It's actually not a bad place to short. It's just waiting to see if I can get a trade on euro yen or pound yen or dollar yen or even Swiss yen, to be honest, which look a little bit cleaner. So that's kind of where I'm at with CAD Gen. In terms of euro yen, since I just briefly talked about that one, we'll take a look at that one. So euro yen I actually really like. It was a very aggressive move to the upside, and this potentially could be a reversal for price to keep going. But again, we haven't taken out any significant structure. I'm still looking at this as a pullback of this move into the 0.618. So I'm waiting for us to kind of stabilize a little bit first. If you can maybe consolidate for a little bit, respect the high, and then I'll look to short. I don't want to be the first one into the trade. That's always not the best thing to do. The moment price starts to see some type of bearish signal, you just straight into the position. Not always the best thing to do. You kind of want to be the last one into the trade. Yes, it might mean you miss some moves, but your strike rate is going to really benefit from that because whilst people are getting stopped out, you're getting into the position. So with euro yen, that's kind of what I'm expecting as well. Expecting them to push back to the low. I'm still pretty bearish on this one. Target's back at that low pretty much. But I'm just going to keep an eye, see how price develops, and hopefully I can get entry signal. If not tomorrow, maybe sometime next week. But the idea is the same situation as I mentioned yesterday. Either the retest of the low here, which we've kind of broken above, or the retest of the low here, which looks like price is actually respecting. So that's where my focus will be now. At the 0.618, which is 161 here. And of course, retesting some prior support, which hopefully will act as resistance and send us back down. And we can catch that next lower high in the sequence. So one over there, second there, third. And of course, this is going to be potentially our fourth. So that's really much the plan there with euro yen. Pound yen looking at the same thing as well. Really aggressive move to the upside, looking at a pullback essentially of this leg here. The only thing with pound yen has been a very aggressive move as well. And I'm getting some V-shaped characteristics here, which is not good, at least for a seller's perspective, because what happens with a V-shaped pattern typically do move to the upside there. So I want to see some aggressive rejection at this area because this is the zone I said I'll be looking to short pound yen from. Not quite fitting my entry signals just yet, but if we can consolidate, maybe fade to the upside, that would be nice. And then I'll start looking for some sells. So the sells are still on, but I'm being a bit more careful because the pullback was just very, very aggressive. It's not textbook. It's not kind of slow and corrective like we had over here. Yeah, that was a nice slow corrective, took its time. That was a nice pullback of that move there. This you can see is just way more aggressive compared to that move. So it might be a sign that pound yen actually wants to go even higher. So I have to be a bit careful there, but still the bias remains intact. We are still keeping up these lower highs. We had a big double top. Where's the highlighter? There we are. At the big double top over there. And since then, we've been forming lower highs. So the plan is, can we find another one? And if so, this is more or less the area I'm expecting it to happen. So we'll be patient and wait and see if we can get a trade there. As I said, with Aussie yen, that's consolidating. New Zealand yen, pretty much doing the exact same thing there as well. It's a little bit better with this one. And in fact, looks like we've had price break above, but looks like we're breaking back below. So there might be a bit of a retest here. And looking for a push back into that swing low there at 83.074. So, yeah, it's not bad, but it's not great, especially when the impulse is more impulsive than the bearish move as well. So in terms of the characteristics, hasn't been particularly great. It might be a valid retest in terms of it playing out, not valid in terms of a good trade. Difference between a good trade and a trade that just plays out. You can get bad trades that work and good trades that fail. But yeah, in terms of the pullback and the way we've broken out, it's been a bit backwards. We should be more impulsive on the way down, more corrective on the way up. This has been more corrective on the way down and more impulsive on the way up. So for that reason, hasn't really ticked my box well. But again, I still expect a lot lower prices. So if you can go and shoot to the downside now, that'd be brilliant. And then I'll be looking for some pullback somewhere and for the continuation. In terms of exactly where I look for entries, that will be specified closer to when the setup is actually forming, but most likely probably the retest of that low. But there might be another level that looks good, but I'll mention that a little bit closer to the time. But yeah, in terms of bias, still pretty bearish for New Zealand yen as well. And finally, CHF JPY. Still pretty bearish with CHF JPY. This has been pretty bullish, of course. We just had some strength for CHF this morning. I'm still expecting CHF JPY to get back to these lows here. So I'm keeping a very close eye on CHF JPY as well. Very consistent lower highs with this one. One over there, second, third, fourth, fifth. Looking for number 6. Maybe we come back and retest the low there. I have no idea, but at the moment, we're still looking pretty bullish, so it's not quite ready to be shorted just yet. But I'm expecting a big drop here for CHF JPY, and I'm looking for some sells, just not quite ready yet. So, yeah, that's really where I'm at with the yen pairs. Really bearish still. Some look better than others. The ones I'm kind of more focused with is Euro yen, pound yen, Swiss yen, and dollar yen. Was debating entering CAD yen, decided not to. We'll see how that plays out, whether it's a good decision or not. But I do really like those 4 yen pairs: Euro yen, pound yen, Swiss, and dollar yen. So if I can get entries there, I won't look to. Well, it depends if it's a good trade or not. But if it is, I'll definitely take those positions. Anyway, we'll go through gold, US30, and NAS. We'll go through oil as well. Holy One, after all these years of trading, is still ignoring news. Every GDP is up on pound CHF. I was in, our economy is up 0.1, so expecting to see more. So for pound, yeah, I suppose because we had some Swiss inflation rate. So I suppose that's what's caused the CHF to be very, very bullish. The thing is, as it's listed on my FX book, I didn't really notice it because it was marked as a medium impact news. I don't normally take into consideration medium impact. I normally look at red folders, red impacts, the bigger ones, especially because I'm working the 4-hour time frame mostly. So the smaller news don't typically worry me too much. So I completely just didn't see the news there. But I think that's the reason CHF has just been very bullish, which is why pound CHF down and other pound pairs are up. So it's just a bit unfortunate. The only pound pair you're looking to trade was the one where the opposing currency was even stronger. Needs for USD at 130, so I have another choice to make with gold. Yeah, I can see you're loving the fundamentals at the moment. Yeah, we do have some more news. I mean, the big one this week was CPI, which was yesterday, so I'm a bit more relaxed now. A bit more relaxed now, but yes, we do have jobless claims and PPI this afternoon at 1:30, which will be interesting. What do we have tomorrow? Tomorrow we got GDP for euro. I'm not really looking to trade in euro pairs, maybe. Well, apart from euro yen, but I'm not too sure if I get an entry by then. And then we got retail sales as well for USD. So yeah, more news this afternoon. Could see a bit of movement because of that, but we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, if you're trading gold, definitely want to take that into consideration as well. Anyway, we'll go through gold, US 30, and NAS, was it? And then we'll take a look at oil as well. So gold looking very, very bullish. There was a nice entry signal yesterday just after CPI. Really nice wick to the downside, piercing through this zone, and a really strong candle closure to the upside. And since then, market has been trending pretty well. And I'm looking at a bit more downside for USD, so a bit more downside with the DXY, which should help gold, keep pushing to the upside. Of course, we'll see what happens with the news this afternoon because that could go out the window. But at least from a technical standpoint, I do think dollar's got a little bit more downside left to give. But just go to the dollar chart quickly. I'm still expecting a drop back into 107 here. So if we do see that move fulfilled, that should help gold to the upside and keep this one pushing north. And we've got the swing high there, the all-time high back at 29.37, 29.40. So that's really what I'm expecting to see from gold. And if you're looking to trade it, I think if you haven't got involved down here, the next best opportunity would be the breaking we tested the high here, looking for a pullback into that, then more upside. This looks like potentially a nice bull flag correction, which could be forming for a drop to the 15-minute chart. Yeah, something like that looks good. Retest the resistance there, test that area, and then look for the buy. That could be a nice buy setup maybe this afternoon or maybe early tomorrow. But the idea of gold is that you're still looking to buy incredibly bullish market in the higher time frames. Go to the daily chart, and we zoom out, see what the overall market bias is. It's extremely bullish. Just have a look at that. So if you're an intraday trader, you're just looking to take pieces of the pie, piece of the cake, and look for your entries, take your swing, and then run sort of thing. Or you can leave positions to run if you want to. But yeah, very, very bullish. No signs of reversal just yet. Support still being respected. Consistent high lows, which haven't been invalidated yet. So onwards and upwards for gold. Of course, things can change quickly. But until we do something like this and break through some structure, my bias remains very, very bullish for gold at the moment. In terms of US 30, not the biggest fan of this one. More consolidation. Not really much to report on since we last spoke. I did some analysis intraday there early in the stream. Said there might be a nice move to the downside as we do approach this consolidation, just kind of continue what price has been doing. There might be a nice short there. But overall, the market is very noisy, just very, very flat, equal highs, equal lows, and we're just dancing around. So in terms of the buys, as I said yesterday, the buys still look good. Should we break the high and find some corrections? Because, of course, this also lines up with the high there on our left. So should we break out of that, there could be some really nice longs just above that. Equally, there could be some really nice longs should we push back into support and respect it again, just like we've been doing once, twice, and potentially a third time as well. So the buys still look good here if you're looking from a swing point of view. Buying at key support around 43,850, or waiting for price to break the high and look for some pullbacks afterwards. The benefit of waiting for this setup is that you know that buyers are still in control of the market, because if we do break the high aggressively, it's a clear sign that momentum is with the buyers, creating all-time highs as well. So you can be a little bit more confident that we probably will still see higher prices. Entering at this level gives you a much better entry because you're lower down, and if you catch the big move, it could be a really big move. But equally, the market is flat, still respecting the high, and maybe the bigger move is to the downside. So I would say a little bit less aggressive, a little bit less assurance that buyers in control, but it's just a better entry in terms of maximizing risk to reward. Both are good setups, no right or wrong setup to take, but it's just pros and cons to two different trade ideas there. But yeah, in terms of the general direction for US 30, still very much up, just looking at the higher time frame, so only really focusing on buys. And yeah, looking for opportunities that align with that. In terms of NAS 100, So this one as well, yeah, just very flat, nothing really to report on since we last spoke as well. Equal highs roughly over there, equal lows down here. So same idea really with US 30, looking for price to commit to the upside. Then we can discuss some pullbacks and look for some longs perhaps on the retest of the zone. Something like that could look good. Or if we have a really big drop, we can look to buy from the low of the zone and again target back to the highs and so on and so forth. But you want to focus your entries at the extremes of the range, down at the low, or once we've broken out. That's the only kind of place which makes sense for buys. If you're looking to buy into resistance, feel free, but always a tricky place to buy into, especially when we rejected that level so many times. And just you don't want to be looking to get involved in the middle of the range because again, that's where you're going to get the most fluctuation, the most um, chaos in a market is right in the middle of the range. We're going to fluctuate the most. So in terms of predicting and placing smart stop losses, it's always going to be a bit more difficult there. But yeah, another market which again, in terms of the overall trend, is still rejecting, still persisting to the upside, still seeing a clear-cut trend. So the overall bias is still very much long and still looking to take trades in that direction. But yeah, very, very bullish on NAS 100 so far as well. Excuse me. Okay, so we'll go through oil next for travelers and the holiday hubs. Gold versus pound is up also, so we'll see what gold does. Okay, I haven't really have I looked at gold versus pound before. I don't think I have. Only gold and dollar. I've looked at gold and euro before, but not gold and pound. But yeah, we'll see. Again, the only question I ask myself with news, if I'm holding a trade for news, is that yeah, what's the worst can happen? Price maybe slips me. How big my stop loss? How close is price to my stop loss? And if it's not going to be too bad, you know, if I'm risking 1%, let's say, maybe I get slipped 3%. Of course, not ideal, but you can recover that. If it's like a 10 pip stop loss and if P is going to come out, you're a really high lot size, you maybe risking a bit more aggressively, you know, that could go very, very badly. Risking 2% might end up losing 10. And of course, you can eventually recover that, but it's going to take you a lot longer. And it's probably best just not to be in that position anyway. So if the risk is okay, then I don't really see too much problem holding through news, but I wouldn't look to actively trade the news. Okay, so we'll go through oil. What's up, Godfrey? Hope you well. I am doing good. Thank you for asking once again. Thank you for your time as always. No problem. Happy to help. Katsi Chef, yes, we'll have a look. See first. Let me just go through oil. So oil, really nice move to the downside actually. Again, still pretty much bearish for oil back down to the lows here. But I've said based on how price is moving, it's been a bit of a tricky situation. I said yesterday would be nice if you can get some sells a little bit higher up into that zone because I think we were trading around here yesterday. So I was like, if we can get one more push to the upside, that'd be a nice place to short because we can get stop loss probably just above the high here. Let's see what we can do. But nice move to the downside. However, not out the woods just yet. We're still coming back into support into areas where buyers will be situated. You can see this is a nice consolidation here. It was a really strong move to the upside, and now we're back in that area. So typically, this is not really the place you want to be looking to sell at. Prices at support on the higher time frames are still very corrective on the way down. It's been a very slow, steady grind to the downside. It's not like we've seen much momentum. So if you're looking for shorts, you do want price to pull back a lot further into some areas where we could put another lower high because we're starting to put some big low highs in. One over there, second over there, third potentially over there. Of course, we'll see how price retraces and everything. But this is kind of the area which you want to be looking to sell from because now you're no longer in support. You're back closer to where sellers are situated because we're seeing those lower highs form. And there's a good chance you could catch the next one and another leg to the downside. In terms of the overall direction, as I've been explaining on the weekly chart, pretty bearish here for oil on higher time frames. We've got high over there, price had a lovely drop, another lower high there, another lower high there as well. And I'm looking at this as being a fourth lower high for a push back into support. So I'm expecting to see a lot more downside there for oil longer term. And for that reason, I'm expecting it to come back down into 66. So that's what I'm expecting oil to be headed towards. But of course, if you want to trade that bias, we've got to make sure we position ourselves well and not just shorting because for the sake of it. So I would want to see a bigger pullback here for oil, perhaps as we approach this kind of area here. Nice resistance on the left. You can tap into that trend line. That could be a smart place for a short. And again, just at least take it back to the low. Doesn't have to be a super target all the way down there. You can leave positions to run if you want to. But I would say if you can get it back into the low, that'd be a great trade. That way you're following structure in the 4 hour time frame, but you're also in line with potentially a nice higher 10 frame bias as well. So yeah, that's kind of my take on oil. Katsi Chef, yes, we'll go through that one next. Got free. 31, do you believe 1% rule though? Many professionals on the podcast saying risk common strategy, so never willing to risk capitalized gains. It depends how you look at it. It depends how you look. It depends how much capital you've got. Because let's say if you're trading with $5 million, 1% of that is 50K. I would happily be risking 50K per trade throughout the whole year and make very, very nice gains on that. So, and that way, if I'm risking 1%, I know the 5 million is pretty safe. I know the odds of me losing it is very, very low, extremely low, and I'm still making good money as well. So if I've got decent enough capital, 1% is perfectly fine. If you don't have a decent enough capital and you want to make considerable gains, then of course you're gonna have to risk a little bit more. It's just, it's just how it is. In terms of the confidence part, I don't really believe in that necessarily because you can have very, very good traders risking 0.25% per trade. And you can have very, very good traders risking 3, 4, 5%. I think risk is a very, very personal thing and very depending on strategy, depending on where your equity is. There's so many decisions that come into it. So I think it's a very personal thing in terms of risk. I think a lot of people throw around the 1% thing, bash it because of just to gain kind of controversy and popularity, really. But when it comes to risk, it's a very personal thing. Depends where you're at, depends on your account size, depends how aggressive you want to be, and depends on your finance situation, how much you're looking to get. Because I know Nick, he doesn't risk too much either, but I'm pretty sure he's got a 7-figure account, I'm pretty sure. So if you've got the money, you don't need to take the insane risk on it. Yeah, exactly. It's subjective. It's subjective. Someone's going to tell you, oh, you're not confident because you're risking 1%. But if I'm making enough money, then who are you to tell me that? But I understand where they're coming from as well. If you want to make more, you're going to have to risk more. But it's down to the trader. Should we take the buy on gold now? Okay, I'll have a look at that. Let me just go for CAD Seat Chef first. No problem, travelers. CAD Seat Chef. Okay, let me know what you're looking to do, CAD Seat Chef, because to me, CAD Seat Chef still looks like it's in a range. And yeah, it technically still is. I said this one I'm keeping a close eye because we could be forming a bit of a breakout, and we could be forming a bit of a breakout here and possibly heading back to the upper end of this channel, which was something I was interested in for CAD Seat Chef. Because should we get a breakout of this daily range, there's a pretty good chance we'll probably make our way to the high of that channel. But it looks like we had the close yesterday, and I said I wanted to see a little bit more, actually 2 days ago. But a nice bullish close yesterday. I want to see a little bit more than that just to really provide the confidence that price is going to break out to the upside. But of course, now we're bleeding back inside. And of course, we'll see how this daily candle does close. But if it closes as it is, that to me just looks like another fake out, which we got over there. And repeating that again, and it could give us another big swing back to the lows there for CAD CHF. So things to me look pretty bearish here. We're at the top of the range, respecting it well. CAD CHF potentially could sell off pretty hard from this. And I would always say if you're looking to trade at range, a good first target is, of course, the 50% of that same range. So if I whip out the old fib, oh, what happened there? If I whip out the fib from the low to the high, then I would say then that 50% makes a really good target to have initially. Book some profits there, and then you can look to target back at the lows. I think that looks like a nice opportunity there for CAD CHF. So yeah, I'm pretty bullish overall because I'm looking for that bigger breakout trade. But if it's not the time for the breakout, that means we're still in the range. And if you're looking to trade the range, this is the time and place to do so. You can get a nice stop loss above the high. You're relatively safe, and you maximize your risk reward. First target halfway point in the range. Second target full end of the range, and you can call it a day there. So I like CAD CHF to the downside. Not really my type of trade. I don't really look for range play. I will do occasionally if I'm looking for a bigger move. I can short the top of the range and potentially catch the breakout. So I will look for those trades occasionally, but most of the time I tend to stay away. It's not really something I'm looking for. But yeah, that's all I can get really with CAD CHF. In terms of gold, is it a buy now? Is that on the low time frames you're suggesting? I suppose so. You drop to the hourly chart. Personally, I wouldn't buy it. Like I said, I would like to see another correction back into that low, so I can find some entries on the retest of the high here. Let me just remove my squiggly lines. So yeah, if price can push back into the low there, then that would be a nice place to take some positions. 29.08, I would say, would be a nice place for entries. I wouldn't buy it now. I mean, you could buy it now. It just means you probably have a much bigger stop loss than you could potentially have. Of course, maybe you miss out on the position. That's always a possibility of trading. You're waiting for your setup. It might move without you. That's just a part of trading. But if you can get back to the low, that would be great. You can find some entries closed down, some stop losses in that area, and you can catch probably a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 back into the high, and you can leave some positions to run should we get back to the high over there. So you can really maximize your opportunity. But in terms of buying, you can do, but of course, I don't want to tell you buy or I don't want to tell you sell either. That's not really how trading works. But in terms of the setup, which I like, which I would say keep an eye out for, if you have a push down, then the put, and then some buy entries at that level, I think that will look good going forward. But yes, we might just move without us. We might just push up, and that's the case. But I'd rather wait for price to come into support and then look for some entries at that level. Raymond, New Zealand CAD. Yes, I'll take a look at that. I think it's the bottom of the range. Maybe a nice buy. Okay, let's have a look. See. NZD CAD. I haven't gone through any CAD, but actually I took a look at pound CAD, didn't I? I haven't gone through any of the others. New Zealand CAD I'm pretty bearish on. At least back to the low here, which is at 0.799, pretty much 0.8. I'm looking for us to get back to that support before I would start to suggest any buying opportunities. Reason being, we're still moving in a pretty smooth bearish channel at the moment. I say pretty smooth, but it's been quite choppy. So you can see the trend we're still very much in lower highs over there, second, third, and potentially fourth. And if that is our fourth lower high, then you expect us to at least get back to the low, potentially lower as well. But I still do see more downside for New Zealand CAD back into zero point 0.8. And then possibly there might be some nice buys from there. I've also talked about the low here as well, just underneath us. I think probably we'll get there too. And then that's even a better place for a buy. So I'm not really bullish on New Zealand CAD, which is what I'm trying to get at. Maybe once we hit the support level down here and we see some rejections, sure, there might be a nice buy around 0.795. But at the moment, I do still see a bit more downside right now. And at the moment, it looks like price is just respecting this channel and just going to look for a continuation of that. It hasn't been a clean move by any means. It was a nice initial rejection there, but then it's been kind of a slow, stagnant move to the downside, which isn't a good sign, but probably does mean we'll probably bounce then. If we keep up this very staggered move, the chance of us seeing a reaction to the upside do increase. So later on, the buys could look good, but at the moment, I still do see more downside back to 0.8. And if you can get a break of that, 0.795, and then from there, you might see some nice trades to take to the upside. But I'm pretty bearish for now. Let me know what price you're looking to buy if you're looking to buy a little bit lower. In terms of Aussie CAD, which it's partner in crime, this one kind of a similar situation in terms of lower highs there as well. We've got a really long-standing bearish channel at play, so you can kind of see we've got the highs there once, twice, kind of a third time there. And if this does hold, there is a good possibility we do make a move back into the low. But it's been very weird in terms of price rejecting the channel. We respected it once, twice, and now a third time. It's like we've got another channel within that channel. And that's what you get with these choppy pairs, especially Aussie CAD. It's not the smoothest pair in the world. So you're going to have to kind of expect these things. But it hasn't been moving clean at all. And I can imagine anyone who was shorting earlier here is probably twiddling their thumbs a little bit because it's taking its time. But nonetheless, as long as we can respect the channel and we don't go and break the high here, so create a higher high, I do expect us to get to that low. So if your stop loss is above the high here, I say just let that trade do its thing. If we can keep respecting that, the trade is still valid, and I expect us to eventually pick up pace to the downside. So I'm pretty bearish on Aussie CAD as well, similar to New Zealand CAD, at least expecting push to the low. And the thing with Aussie CAD is if we do get to the low and break through, I actually do expect to see a pretty big drop with this one all the way back down there to 0.86. So I think there's a long way to go should we really see that move play out. Of course, if we do break the channel to the upside and take the high out, then we're probably going to reinstate that bullish trend and probably push back to the high here. Then we can start talking about some buying opportunities on the way up. Of course, we're nowhere near that. So we'll discuss that in a bit more detail when it does happen, if it does happen. But for now, this is the move I'm looking for Aussie CAD. So still pretty bearish on. You can see if I zoom out, right out, still putting these major lower highs in. So I'm looking at that being another one and us returning into support. So yeah, that's where the bias comes from. And as long as we remain in that channel, I do think there's a good chance it plays out. In which pair is your trade running now, or you just wait? Okay, yeah, we'll take a look at UK 100 shorts as well. Been a while since I had a look at that pair. In terms of the pairs I'm trading, so I'm currently long on pound USD. It's pretty much hit my target. So if I do see a rejection here, I probably would just close the trade. It was never meant to be a big position. See risk reward there 1.9. So it was never really meant to be a big position, but I'm looking to see if I can target the wick high there. But since we have come into the zone pretty much, I will look to close the trade early. If I do see a rejection here on the 4-hour chart, I'll just close it wherever price is. But if I can kind of hold it a little bit longer back to the high, that would be nice. But we'll see. Anyway, I'm looking for some shorts here for pound USD. So if you are looking for some new swing opportunities, I would keep an eye out for the downside there because the overall trend is still very much down. We haven't really broken for any structure yet. This is still the last meaningful high, which gave us that push, that low. So we could very much still be in pullback mode into the structure and see a big sell. So that's something I'm going to keep a close eye on there for pound. And the other position I'm in is Aussie CHF, which I entered yesterday at 10 a.m. Yeah, this is the one I'm trading as well. I said earlier I was looking to potentially take a trade on CAD yen, but I decided not to. It wasn't that clean. I prefer euro yen, pound yen. They look a little bit better. So yeah, I'm waiting to see if I can get to those positions. And because I wasn't entirely confident about the position, and I've already got pound USD, I've already got Aussie CHF, which are not really correlated with CAD yen, but at least those positions aren't risk free yet. So I don't want to take a third position on top of that. So I decided to stay out. If it was a good trade, I would have taken it anyway, because um, as a swing trader, you will kind of overlap positions because they do take time to play out. But because it wasn't that good and euro yen looks better, pound yen looks better, I'd rather just wait for those. So yeah, I could have entered this one, but decided not to. We'll see how it plays out, see if it was a good decision or not. But Aussie CHF and pound USD are the currency pairs I'm in. Himanshu, the UK 100, let's take a look. Okay, so last time I had a look, I suppose we were over here somewhere. And price has flown since then. It's actually been pretty bullish, surprisingly. I thought we would have probably start consolidating, but I haven't started that just yet. It's most likely going to happen pretty soon. But yeah, still very bullish. You said you're looking for a short in UK 100. Okay, that's pretty aggressive. Are you looking to short because of this candle here, potentially? Again, UK 100 is just very bullish. Higher time frames are bullish. Monthly chart, weekly chart, daily charts bullish. 4-hour charts pretty bullish as well. So I think if you're looking to short UK 100, you're always going to be up against it in terms of the probability of the trade playing out. The chances of our price just sees new highs. So I would, I wouldn't say don't take the trade, because who knows, maybe this is the top and maybe we do sell off and something that I don't. But all I can say is that the market is extremely bullish. I would at least wait for some lower lows and lower highs start to develop first before considering shorting, because at least then I've got some structure in my favor. I can at least target one of these lows here, which would be a good probability of price getting. The bigger moves still may be to the upside, but I might be able to take at least a small piece of the pie and take my profits before we do continue that trend. Trying to catch the high of the market is always very difficult to do on a consistent basis. Maybe this is the high, maybe it's not, but the chances are it's probably not. So I would always be very careful when going counter trend, that at least I do have some structure in my favor first, some lower lows, lower highs that I can trade with, rather than just shorting right at the top. So yes, it's a market that does need to pull back and due one pretty soon, but I think it's pretty aggressive right now to be shorting it at the moment. So yeah, that's kind of my take. What made you long pound USD? Good question. Yeah, so price just came back into a nice area of confluence. We had this trend line here, 1, 2, 3. We had some support here on the left, which was nice double bottom. So price from some support, respected it. We dropped the downside. So we had a really nice piercing wick to the downside, which I know in the lower time frames would have probably caught some people on the wrong side of the market. Then we had a really strong close to the upside on the 4-hour chart, which is my entry signal, which is what I need to see if price is going to hold the level. And typically when we get some wicks followed by a strong bullish or bearish engulfing candle, that's a really nice powerful entry pattern. And that's what we got here, piercing into the wick. So any prior stops over here, again, will be taken out. And then looking at momentum shortly afterwards. And of course, us holding onto the trend line as well. And we also pull back into the 0.618 of the fib here as well, which was also a nice confluence. But the idea of why I was looking to take a long position here is because I know the trend is very much down and that's still the longer term play. But because we've had such a strong impulse move to the upside and this move was very, very slow, it did look like price was going to form a higher low to continue to the upside. And because I had all of those layers of confluence, it made sense for me to take a position to try and see if I can get it back to the long there. Because the probability of us kind of seeing a big move there was something I was looking for, but we were just lacking that momentum. As I saw price kind of stall there and shift the momentum, it looked likely we were going to see a push to the upside first before maybe that longer term move to the downside, which I'm still looking for. But the buys made sense at the time to take that temporary move to the upside. And the final cherry on the cake was that I'm pretty bearish on the dollar. I'm looking for a move back to support here on the DXY. And of course, the DXY is inversely correlated with pound USD. As pound USD goes up, dollar goes down, the other way around. So because I'm looking for a move to the downside here for the dollar as well, if that does play out, then pound USD most likely will see move to the upside as well. So the technicals look good. The correlation lined up pretty well. And based on how price is moving, it did look likely that we're probably going to see a deeper pullback than expected. So that's why I got long on pound USD pretty much. And yeah, because it's not like a longer term trade, like I said, I'm going against the trend of the market. I'm only looking just to take profits at the high there. So not a big risk reward, not a long-term position, just a trade that I'll get in, see if I can take it back to resistance, back into the swing high. And then if we do, I'll look to call it a day. And we pretty much have done that. So if I do see any kind of meaningful rejection here on the 4-hour chart, I will look to close the trade now because we've pretty much come back into the zone. We just about wicked into it there. So I will look to close the trade. But if we can just squeeze a little bit more of the trade, that would be nice. So you can get it right to the wick high, then I'll close the trade. The bigger move, I'm still looking at shorting the markets. That's still the bigger play for me. It's just a shorter term position to see if I can take advantage of some pips there, which has played out pretty well. So we'll see if we can squeeze a little bit more out of it. And if we do, great. If we don't, we'll close it at some point there. So yeah, that's pretty much why I took the position. But again, every single trade is unique. Every single trade is different. The analysis in terms of the technicals, in terms of the reason I get into the trade are pretty much the same. And the patterns of looking at the trade are the same. But the context of the trade is always going to change. It's always going to be different. Where we're situated, what higher time frames are doing, how aggressive the trend is it counter trend, pro trend, where are you in the trends? Is it towards the start, towards the end? How long have been trending? How corrective is the market? How much momentum is there? All those questions I will be asking myself before I do take a trade. The patterns I'm trading are pretty simple. It's nothing extraordinary, nothing that if you guys haven't seen my content for a while, you would not know. So it's simple, but looking to do the simple things well. Holy One, just looking at DXY, 90 markets counts. But up for a temporary sell, but overall I'm still bullish on the dollar. Yeah, kind of same with me. What's up, Lauder? Welcome to the stream. Hope you're well. Same situation with me. To be fair, I'm still pretty much bullish on the dollar. At the start of the stream, I marked on a massive level on the weekly chart, which is still keeping me pretty bullish, which is this level here. Again, if you look at what the dollar's done over the past few weeks, few months, it's been a ginormous move to the upside. And a correction over there, another big push. This could just be another correction for price to keep going. So I am still very bullish on the dollar as well. Still looking for a push back to the high there. Yeah, that's still very much the plan. The moment that I do see some heavy momentum breaking underneath this area, that's when I'll start to flip the bias completely. And again, when I look to change my bias, it's not just like I'm changing your bias for the next day or for the next week. I will have shorter term biases, but when I talk about my bias for a pair or bias for a market, it's normally for the next few weeks, potentially few months. And that's the reality here with the dollar. My bias right now is bullish, and I'm expecting that to continue all the way up back to 113, which could take a good part of this year. Likewise, if we do break to the downside, then I'll flip that bias. I'm looking for a push all the way back down here. which again will probably take a good chunk of this year for price to eventually get back down there again. So I don't just change my overall long-term bias like that. It does take some time to develop. Of course, I will have some shorter-term biases I look to play, hence my pound USD position. But the long-term bias is still intact for now with the dollar. Still trading at massive support. Trend is still very much up. So until I start to see this break and break with some force, then I'll start to reconsider that longer term bias. But for now, I do have a shorter term play I'm looking at for a push back into 107, which again is why I'm buying pound USD there. So it's a temporary play for the longer term move, and we'll see if that does play out. But at the moment, nothing's really changed in terms of long-term bias. It's still the last major swing low. That's still in play. That's still intact, which created that high. So technically speaking, prices to go and break through that before I really consider to change my bias. But yeah, still do expect a lot more upside. When you have a high time frame bullish stance, although it's way down, all you're waiting for is a handshake between participants and prices will eventually rise. Exactly. You're just waiting for the appropriate time to take that bias, take that trade. And that could take some time. That could take some time before it does happen. It could take some time before it does happen, and there will be opportunity to take on the smaller time frames and shorter term trades before that higher time frame bias does play out or starts to get ready. So you can either take this position whilst you wait for that bias to play out, and then of course trade the bias when it does form. Or if you want to just wait for the higher time frame bias, that's fine. Of course, you'll be taking much less positions and you'll be waiting around a lot, but that's fine as well. Trading is a very personal thing. If that's what you're after, then you can do that too. But there will be shorter term opportunities. There'll be longer term opportunities. It's up to you to choose what you're looking for. A good trade is a good trade, whether it's for a 1 hour time period, a 1 week time period, or even a 1 year time period. There's good trades kind of all over the place. And it's just up to you to spot them. But yeah, for now, dollar still give me that bias. So I'm going to keep that bias until proven otherwise. In terms of what I'm looking at, again, it's still very much with the yen pairs. Like I said, debated taking CAD yen, but decided not to. So euro yen, pound yen, Swiss and dollar yen are going to be the yen pairs I focus my efforts on now. So we'll see what happens. Let me just move this to the right. At the moment, the reason why I'm kind of just a bit relaxed in terms of getting in too heavy is because this has been such a strong move for euro yen. Really, really big push to the upside. The odds of us kind of just tapping into this level and falling and dying right back down again are pretty low. Price doesn't just move in straight lines all the time. Of course, you can kind of argue we did it there, sort of, and we did it there, sort of as well. But this is a much bigger move than those two moves there as well. So I want price to kind of stabilize a little bit, maybe consolidate, might push up first and then come back down or something of that nature before I do get into a trade. Because for all I know, this could just be a brief pause for us to keep going higher. So I want to make sure that the odds of price going higher are pretty slim and that we're likely to turn. And then that's when I'll look to take my entry. So yeah, pretty bearish in euro yen as well. I think euro yen probably looks the best, maybe along with CHF JPY as well, just in terms of the smoothness of the price action. But yeah, not quite ready yet. Yeah, of course, and of course they're trading with much larger capital than us as well. They're trading with billions and they make billions. So not necessarily trading with 100 pounds in your account. Trying to make a billion from that would be quite difficult. But yeah, of course, they've got a lot more information than us, a lot more tools than us as well. They're not really trading with they're not trading on trading view or MT4 either. So, and again, we don't need to necessarily compare ourselves to the bigger institutions and corporations, because we're not that. We don't have their capital, their size, their resources. But retail traders can still, make really healthy returns, just about taking the small, not small pieces, as in like 5 pips, just small as in relatively small pieces of the pie, as I keep saying. Seems to be my catchphrase now. And making sure you're very accurate. I think that's a really key thing, making sure you're very accurate. Because if you're all over the place, your equity curves can be all over the place as well. If there's very key particular things you're focusing on in the market, that will really increase your odds of making a return. And the more particular you are, and the more accurate you are, the more specific you are, the better you'll be for it, because you get better at whatever that is. And you'll be better to pinpoint those conditions in the market, those entries, those exits, and profit from them. Um, this is a very complex game with many participants, and if you're trying to beat them all, you probably fail. But if you can focus on a particular aspect of the market and beat other people in that, beat other participants in that, you'll find a better chance of making gains and sustainable gains as well. But yeah, it's a funny situation. But again, as retail traders, you want to focus on being specific and being very well, very well versed, very well skilled in that strategy or edge, whatever you're looking to trade with. With me, I focus on chart patterns, layers of confluence, and that's really what I focus on. And CTFJPY is looking like a really nice sell. It's just not quite ready yet. So it would be nice if we do push up a little bit higher, which is a little bit contradictory, because I am selling Aussie CHF and then I want to sell Swiss JPY. So it is a little bit counterintuitive, but I'm really more focused on buying the yen, basically. It's not really so much CHF I'm selling, it's more on buying the yen. Because I'm pretty much bearish on all yen pairs. So I'm very bullish on yen, really. Whether it's CAD, CHF, Euro, Pound, doesn't really matter. It's just about making sure I take a good opportunity and making sure I'm buying yen right now. Yes, I'm waiting for it to kind of present, and then if it does, I'll take the trade. But we'll see. We'll see. Again, it might not be CHF getting two. Could easily be dollar yen if that sets up well. I do like this one a lot. This one looks like it's picking up the pace as well. I think maybe USD weakness is helping with that in general. How's pound yen doing? This one looks like it's picking up the pace as well. So again, very interesting area we're in right now. I like the shorts here for pound yen, and I'm looking for a push into 187. Just a very, very aggressive move that we've had. It's difficult to get straight back into that. But I do have a very bearish bias, so I'm looking for a lot more downside. And again, when I say I have a very bearish bias, I'm looking for a really long-term move back into the lows here and a lot further as well. So although it's been pretty aggressive, I still do have a bearish bias. If we keep seeing aggressive momentum, I probably will contemplate maybe looking for a push back to the highs here. But yeah, just being a bit careful, wait and see how we develop, and hopefully can get some entries pretty soon. I will go through some of the crosses, because you haven't actually looked at any of them yet, I don't think. How's your... Okay, so Euro Aussie. I remember someone asked me yesterday whether price was having a breakout, a price was breaking back inside the level or retesting the level. I said we'll find out when it happens, really, because of course you don't know until it's done and dusted. But what I did say is that if we do see a big rejection here, then yeah, we could say that price is rejecting the level. But because it was such a strong push to the upside, you want to see a strong push back down again. Price is going to give you a lot of force, and you want to go against that. You kind of want to see an equals type of rejection that says, okay, all that force has now disappeared, and we're likely to go in the opposite direction. Didn't really get much of that. Strong close to the upside, then the following candle wicked down, but closed pretty strongly to the upside above support, and we haven't really looked back since then as well. So in my book, this is looking pretty bullish for Euro Aussie, and I'll be expecting a lot more upside. Effectively, this is kind of like a range we've had here for Euro Aussie. You got the highs over there, you got the lows there. This to me looks like a really big fake out, and naturally, I'm expecting us to now push all the way back to the high of the range. I was actually looking for a lot more downside for Euro Aussie, but this has just been a massive fake of that. So that's completely invalidated the shorts, and now I'm expecting a lot more upsides and a push back to 1.68. If I look at Euro NZD, I don't think that one actually did break out of the range. Yeah, so this one didn't quite break out the range. This one was stuck at support, respected it pretty well. Big move to the upside. You've got the high of the range up there. Looks like price is probably going to push back to the high there, but again, just pretty much consolidating. So not a lot to work with until we break the high or break the low. Still very much just stuck in the range there. So not really interested with either of them at the moment. In terms of pound NZD, this was pretty bullish, more bullish than I expected it to be honest. I was looking for price to respect this area and start to have a bit of a sell. There was a rejection there on the 4-hour chart. Nice bearish engulfing candle, but didn't give us the move I was expecting. Price broke to the upside. It's looking pretty bullish. Looks like we're coming back into highs there. So it'll be interesting to see what price does, whether we respect the high or break through that high as well. It might just be a situation where price continues all the way back to the high. I wouldn't be looking to short that either, to be honest. It's a bit too aggressive since we are still very consistent with all these higher lows. So I think shorting is just a bit too aggressive. But yeah, very, very impulsive move there from pound NZD, which I was not expecting. And I think we had the same with pound Aussie as well. Yeah, very aggressive move to the upside. This one came right back down into the range, to be fair. Nice reaction. We'll see what price does. Still could form a lower high to come back down, but pretty aggressive reaction there as well. And overall, I don't really see a clear opportunity there right now. Very, very bullish, but no opportunity to kind of jump into a buy or sell. Where was I? Okay. Candles always start to fluctuate. Yeah, I suppose as we come to the 12 o'clock candle, 10 minutes before the hourly candle closes, we do tend to see quite a lot of fluctuation. I feel like people are getting excited for the candle to close at on the hour. Again, that's just me thinking out loud. That might be very incorrect, but yeah, we do fluctuate as we get close to the hour. Yusuf, do you have a rule when setting stop loss? Sometimes my analysis is correct, but price usually hit my stop loss before going to the opposite direction. So are you saying price will hit your stop loss and then going to hit your targets? The thing is, if that's the situation, if that happens a lot, then there's either two things you should look to do. Either number one, increase your stop loss size, or number two, re-enter after you get stopped out. either one of those situations will very much help you, because if price keeps going to your stop loss, it means that you're probably entering the trade a little bit too early in the context of the market. So you just need to wait to enter a little bit later, but you could just increase the size of your stop loss, which of course will reduce your risk to reward. So that's a con. But if you do get stopped out, then look for a re-entry signal. If price is still holding your confluences in terms of your trend line support level, look to re-enter. Because stop loss is not perfect. There are times where I get stopped out as well, and then price will go into my direction that I anticipated. But if that's the case, I always look to re-enter. As long as price is still holding the levels that I'm trading from, I always look to re-enter. Yeah, I could either say increase the room on your stop loss, but if you don't want to sacrifice the extra, the loss and the risk to reward, then just re-enter. You can try and experiment entering a little bit later, because that will eventually kind of just sort out your whole problem altogether. Yeah, try and enter a little bit later, which is very broad and I know difficult to do, but record your trades, journal your trades, look back over them. Once you've got a decent sample size, like 30, 40, 50 trades, you can look back and look at those losses and see, okay, if I entered a little bit later, would it be in a profitable trade? If that answers yes enough times, then that's probably something to look at. Gerald, late, but we'll recap on gold buys. Looking okay, yeah, we'll go through gold for you. No problem, man. Hope you're doing well. Hey, morning, Ben. Hope you're doing good. Trump just woke up and started reading. Mate, yeah, I need to start following Trump. I haven't followed Trump yet. I'm missing out on my economic data signals there. Need to get back on Trump. But yeah, we're going to see that happen a lot more this year, which will be fun. I'm sure it will help us and harm us at the same time. Anyway, in terms of gold, so yeah, gold's still pretty bullish, still expecting more upside. Lovely retest of that level yesterday, and our price is looking very, very bullish. As I said early in the stream, I think the only way to kind of get involved with this one is some lower time frame corrections. So this is the 15-minute chart. Something like this could provide a nice trade opportunity. This to me looks like a nice kind of bull flag. So there's your impulse. This will be your correction of that impulse and a retest of resistance. Find some entries down here, and then you're looking to target back to where you came from. Well, you didn't come from there, but back to the high there, or at least the high here as well, if you want to keep it relatively simple. So gold very bullish on this one as well. In terms of a buy, I'll be looking for pullbacks really. Yeah, but it's definitely looking very bullish in the daily, looking very bullish intraday as well, looking bullish just altogether. We're at all-time highs. We haven't had much of a pullback, have we, for gold? It's just still storming to the upside, as we can see. So we're due a bigger pullback at some point, 100%. But when will that happen? We have no idea. We might go tag 3K first before we make that bigger pullback. Who knows? All I can say, though, is that price is still very bullish. No signs of reversal just yet. So the odds of us getting back to the high, I would say, are pretty likely. So if you are on the low time frames looking for some low time frame pullbacks, makes the most sense to me. And yeah, targets back at 29.40 look pretty good. So yeah, pretty bullish there on gold. How bearish are we looking on the DXY? Not very. Pumping on the 1 minute. I thought it was a bearish. Yeah, we are seeing some upside there. What's Trump said? What's Trump said? The reaction of 3K will be interesting. Yeah, it will be very interesting. Because 3K is a massive psych level. Because we've just flown past 2K. And now we're about to hit 3K in no time. So, yeah, expect a bit of a reaction. But we'll see. We shall see. What's Bitcoin doing? I actually see what's Bitcoin doing. Is it still just sideways? No one's really talking about Bitcoin. Yeah, just flat. Just flat sideways. Again, the bigger picture for Bitcoin is still very bullish. I jumped to the weekly chart just to get a nice overview. Yeah, it's still very much on its way up. But it's either doing one or two things, consolidating to eventually break up again, or consolidating to come back for a retest. Either which way, the long-term move, I'm still expecting to be to the upside. But which way we do move first, we shall see. New Zealand Sea Chef, okay, we'll have a look at that. Kikana? Oh, he's speaking about the tariffs. Okay, bring it on. That's your signal to buy there. That's your signal to buy. Bring it on, buy. Okay, so yeah, New Zealand Sea Chef, pretty bearish on this one as well. Again, really nice bearish trend in the higher time frames here, and just looking for the continuation of that. Price being pretty consistent with these lower highs. 2 over there, 3, well, anticipating a third there. And of course, if that's the case, then back to the low. And then, of course, your all-time low there, which is looking like a good target as well. But really nice reaction today. CHF looks pretty strong. We'll see how this daily kind of does close. Still got 10 hours to go before that is the case. So a lot could happen in that time. But to me, things are looking pretty bearish. It looks like the lower high is forming. If that's the case, this is the low I'm expecting us to get to. So really, really bearish from New Zealand CHF. And yeah, I do expect more downside. Oh, we have little growth in the economy. She's not happy. Yeah, I mean, pound pound was pretty bullish though. Um, but yeah, I think I need to start following Trump on Twitter now. Need to get my alerts. By the way, guys, I will be live again later today with Trading Nick on his channel. So if you guys are free about 1:45 in the afternoon UK time, be sure to check it out. We'll be on his channel. Go through the chart, see what is going on. We do have some USD news, so probably see the aftermath of that. I'm in pound USD long, so we'll see if that favors my trade or doesn't favor my trade. Um, and yeah, we'll see what happens with that. And of course, just chat about the charts as well. So if you're interested, go and check out that stream on it on his channel. Government will blame their own failings on literally anyone but themselves. Very, very true as well. Very true. Yeah, how is my pound USD position doing after that little Twitter stunt? Oh, wrong. Okay, we're having a bit of a reaction there. So if we do close pretty bearish, I might just close the trade a bit early because we pretty much got to the high anyway. So I don't see the need to risk all the floating profits just to see if I can get it back to the wick high there because we very well could come straight back down. But I'll see how that candle closes at 2 o'clock. I'm not going to do anything between now and then. But yeah, still overall bearish for pound. So I am still looking to sell this one. Of course, I've got to see out this this bullish trade first. In terms of Aussie Seat Chef, still very much the beginning of that position. So we'll see how that goes as well. Nice candle closure there. Seat Chef strength did help out, but we'll see if that does continue. But guys, we have come up to the end of the stream. I do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in, chatting with myself, saying hi, liking the stream, subscribing, hitting the bell. All that does help. And if you haven't done that already, please go and do that. It does really help out the stream. If you're finding them useful, show some love back. It does really help out. If you haven't done so already, check out the Elevating Traders Discord channel. Completely free to join. Link to that in the description below. And also the top of the chat, you can chat with other traders, chat with myself. I share ideas there. You can share ideas there as well. And of course, you can find out a lot more about Elevate Traders in the Discord as well. So go check it out. Completely free to join. Link in the description and at the top of the chat. I will be live again tomorrow on my channel, as always, every weekday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you're free, tune in, say hi, come chat with us. Like I did say as well, I'll be live again later today on Trading Nick's channel. So go check that out if you're free. I appreciate you spending some time with me. Have a great Thursday. Watch out for some news in the afternoon. I hope to see you all a little bit later, if not tomorrow. Take care, peeps. Have a good one.